My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is Gang Stalking 101, audible activity, light activity, relevant positioning, maintaining presence in the parking lot, stalking on behalf of the state while planes are flying far from where the airport conducts takeoffs. For the gang stalking purposes of those, if they were granted the privilege to be here, they're going to be deported while they engage in terrorism of American citizens, homegrown, born natural citizens, and you're here targeting a federal prosecutor, 8GNW726. It's currently 8:09 a.m., stalking in the path in the parking lot and waiting until I get here. That's targeting conduct. Audible activity, relevant positioning, using the vehicle as a means of light and audible activity, pacing back and forth. That's a psychopath. Not forgetting to lock their doors. Stalking with the state, who uses the sounds of planes. And then this demon, this psychopath, goes into and engaging in the P.O.C. with the rest of the people of the state. It is currently 8:10 a.m. This is targeting by the state with the people of the state. Hey, hey. It's P.O.C. And he works, by the way, this is Ontario Village, very heavily documented. Fake sun from morning until sunset. It's on the record. That's a demon. He's gang stalking. P.O.C. Habit's not open. And if this is an executive that's opening up Habit, that lets you know about what's preparing your food. They're demons. They're gang stalking. Yeah, that's exactly what's unlocking the door of Habit, a gang stalker. P.O.C. It is Sunday, June 8, 2025, and the people of the state, as you can hear, are gang stalking, maintaining activity around me where I go, engaged in the creepy conduct of just waiting in order to make noise, such as using a shopping cart. That's the lying in wait conduct. All of the P.O.C. is encapsulated within a grocery store. All of the P.O.C. is encapsulated within a library. All of the P.O.C. is encapsulated within a parking lot where stalkers are engaging in activity centered on you, and it's very sick and psychopathic. And then you're mindful of the fake sun and the tornadoes of light and the amplified audible activity of everything that they do. 25995A4, 7NQT238, 8VAY491, 6RZC506, 9FLR135. They're gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who is maintaining a means of light activity in the State of Brothers parking lot, where I've already documented the fake sun rising and setting, going from 2020 to the present. And that's amplified audible activity that follows everywhere in Ontario, including at Woodside Senior Apartments, which is amplification, letting you know that these demons are indeed monitoring. License 8DGX896. It's audible activity while they're crossing path in the vehicle as a means of light activity. And it's criminal presence. 38743F1. And they're all being documented acting with impunity. License 8BQG441. 62920E2. License 9BCE723. And this is what, again, the Habit employee is doing, stalking in the parking lot, waiting, loitering in the path on behalf of the state. That sounds plain activity at the moment that he is getting out of his vehicle, which is pacing. An audible activity while he paces around the vehicle, closes the trunk, opens the car door. A light activity as you lock your car door. Go back and make sure that the doors are pacing. 7TUR824, 8VPB556, 5ACP473. And this is, again, another gang stalking security company, which I've documented at Ontario Village Shopping Center before. Safeguard On Demand is gang stalking, and they're supposed to be engaged in security. License 9CYD514, vehicle number 34. It's the same exact light activity. And Ontario Police is maintaining a means of monitoring. In case you did not know, they're engaged in criminal surveillance. So all of the equipment, all of the resources that they maintain, that they use as a police department, is exerted toward criminal activity that they don't have any constitutional authority to engage in. They're engaged in state surveillance, and they're going to be disbanded. 6YGV886, they're gang stalking with the people of the state, and they are still gang stalking me after engaging kidnapping, which the same entity, license 8CMT734, 7TXP618, have committed together. While I walk in the parking lot, they are demons stalking in the path with light, using their vehicles as they pull in and out of spaces, drive in and out of the parking lot to maintain presence and activity around me. Those are very much demonic means of a corporate method of stalking with light and stalking with presence. 6RZC506, and they're all stalking while the entity is maintaining means such as amplified plane, amplified train, and they're pacing all around me. That's what's going on. This is ongoing pacing, and these are the demon-possessed that are stalking together. And it's speaking to the government that's gang stalking. Everything that I've been documenting is revealing how Paul Leon is entirely disqualified from remaining in office, which he's not going to. WRXWYFE, he committed kidnapping on May 29, 2025, and that's not the first kidnapping that he's committed, and he's going to be removed from office. 9FAM358, 7ZRZ483, license 8DGX896, 8VNK753, 7JBY518. 9 FAM 358. Omnitrans is gang stalking, crossing path, Route 61, driving eastbound right now on Holt Boulevard. And you know that Omnitrans is gang stalking and targeting me because the fake sun's over me when I'm on that bus. 6 BOL 567, and it stays over me for the entirety of the route on that bus, which is a supernatural phenomenon. It's as supernatural as the sun not moving all day and sitting over Starbucks, like I documented. As supernatural as the sun not moving all day and staying over Woodside Senior Apartment, specifically the building that I'm inside of. That's the pattern of conduct. Omnitrans is gang stalking at 8:27 a.m. by crossing path. It is currently, like I stated, 8:28 a.m. and inside of Stater Brothers, which is the third-party facilitating venue, Ontario Village. The city of Ontario is targeting me in that location. That's where all of the P.O.C. is remaining underway. And I've documented the fake sun over this area. And by area, I mean this is San Antonio, Holt Boulevard. And the entity is documented with the fake sun from sunrise until sunset here. So, and this is what I was using, juxtaposing my residence in Los Angeles, where LAPD is gang stalking. And I was routinely going through my documentation. 2022, on this day, I'm at Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard at this time. And what is over at Starbucks rising in alignment to me is not outside of my living room window, like I was documenting with regard to the entity being shown to be proven targeting with a fake sun, where demons are engaging in what is monitoring, like license 9HXC513, 5YBC528, 9GZU593, 4CZJ090, 6AKN478. This is an Asian woman. Looks like an Asian female. No, go ahead. This looks like an Asian. Actually, that could be a boy or a girl. I'm not sure what that is. It's 9HXC513 is driving this white Civic, though, and she's gang stalking by maintaining presence in the middle of the parking lot. That's light activity creation. They do the same thing when they're driving in. Everything that the entity is doing is, as you know, for example, when they show you things such as very, very foolish with regard to a prosecution. They showed you yesterday, again, that they're stalking when they're driving on Euclid Avenue because tornadoes of light is coexisting while they're on the street outside of the Starbucks. They're crossing path, they're still gang stalking now when they're in the drive-thru, 8PDC790, when they're driving on Euclid Avenue, and when they're in the parking lot, creating a means of light activity, and in the presence of in the path when impossible light activity is just manifesting in the air, like what you saw at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. They are gang stalking. License 98HR442, CX65X03, and that's the pattern of conduct that you're not going to be forgetful about. You're not forgetting that. And no prudent investigator, no federal case is going to remove that from the evidence. So you're mindful of the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. Starbucks looks abandoned. Good morning, Ruth. Pacing inside Starbucks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. Hi. Rachel. Hi, Rachel. I would like to order. I'm gonna call first, but I think I want to get something hot. How about what type of teas do you guys have? Hot herbal tea.
Oh yeah, I have the Thai.
Chamomile mint blossom. Interesting. I will try the. I'm sorry. What's the one that was chai?
Not that one. That one's discontinued.
Oh, okay. I'll get the mint majesty.
Okay.
A tall is fine.
Anything else?
Yes. A cup of. What is that? Grande size cup of ice cream, just ice. And I think that'll be it for now. Right, I'm Erica.
325.
Okay. is activity, Chris. Everything said and done is creating activity in an environment where it's a fake sun, where it's not even sunlight, it's not headlights, it's not building lights, it's engineered light. And the demon-possessed are engaging in what are moving and making noise pursuant to my physical movement. That's called stalking with activity, and it's demonic. They do that while they're in the midst of a light show as well. And the entity that knows that the fake sun documentation has been captured covers up the fake sun in the morning, and it remains equally probative when I'm capturing it in the evening. Where the fake sun is rising, the sun will never be setting in a natural environment. Where the fake sun is setting, the sun is not going to be rising. The sun is never going to be here under any circumstances. It's already been established as impossible to naturally occur. The entity is stuck in a cycle with regard to what is the pattern of conduct. As I have proven, what is an environment where criminal monitoring, which is demonic, remains underway. And it has also shown the fake sun documentation is giving you context about everything that's happening, which is monitoring a specific person. And that's also demonic while you have a people monitoring one person. And the specific environment is giving you context information about what is the entity's malice with regard to targeting. With regard to targeting altogether, and the purpose of everything that's happening in that environment, which is not normality. It's not ongoing just existence devoid of any sort of rhyme or scheme. People just going about, in other words, going to work, just chilling at Starbucks, just going into their shift. Whatever it is that they're doing in the course of their life during the day, they're doing it while they're monitoring me as I'm documenting it. And no matter what the circumstances are, depending on whatever it is that's going on in the entity's individual lives, if you will. They're an entity, however, they're not individuals, they're an entity. Regardless of their face, regardless of their identity, they're going to be prosecuted as a state. But regardless of whatever circumstances, whether they're in college and they've got a roommate and they come to work in the middle of the day and then they're off at night, or they work early in the morning and then they're engaging in what is driving to Orange County where they actually live, or whatever the details are of their life, when they are in relevant position, the entity, which is demonic, engages in an identical behavioral pattern. And that is never inconsistent. It is always the case, and my ability to document that is also the prosecution of the state beyond a reasonable doubt for criminal monitoring. And the government's conduct of engaging in what is an unprecedented level of admitting to being terrorists, admitting to being stalkers, and providing a generous amount of evidence to support it when I've already single-handedly documented. My documentation is complete. The entity has been engaged in a pattern of kidnapping, an ongoing pattern of obstruction of justice, and an ongoing pattern of suppression of my evidence, which is also a tactic with regard to obstruction of justice. But the documentation is proving, has already established in a manner that cannot reasonably be questioned or doubted, that there is surveillance underway. And regardless of the nature or the method whereby. So in other words, it's creepy, it's demonic, it's that of what would be written in a Hollywood horror flick, but it's real life criminal conduct by the government in concert with the people who will want to be and are necessarily maintaining what is now a very highly unpersuasive guise of normal everyday life, everyday people. And there's nothing normal about them, and they're also not strangers. The specific environment ties them all together. You have the absence of any coincidence. When that specific environment is remaining over me everywhere that I go, the demon-possessed are not strangers to me. They are stalking me together, and they are doing so on behalf of the government, which is also the demon-possessed. The government's the ones that's exhibiting demon possession, stalking in planes and helicopters in demonic manners. Having the plane around while the sound of the plane is amplified, the amplification is demonic. It's a demon-possessed person that's flying that plane in relevant position to me. Okay? The entity is giving you a visual while you're being surrounded with a demonic environment so that you can never put your finger on what it is that you're being surrounded by. It's a method of targeting. That's why you have when the plane is far away, but yet the sound of the plane is capable of being perceived. That's impossible audible activity. It's amplification. And it doesn't change whether the plane is flying directly over your head or whether the plane is flying at a great distance away. That doesn't change. So the entity is, that's recognizing the demonic nature of everything that the entity is doing. And the entity, which is the government, is necessarily requiring the mask of the people of the state who are supposed to maintain a demeanor of normalcy and innocence, ignorance, civility. That is very much shedded. That's literally devastated with video of tornadoes of light, and you're sitting in there like nothing is happening, that doesn't make them look normal at all. That doesn't make them look uninvolved and uninterested and ignorant at all. It's a pattern of conduct when you're recognizing the malicious engagement by the people of the state. And so the entity, it's also relevant that I'm the only person that notices this, and I am the one that is subject to what are repeated acts of harassment and malicious assertions by the same entity. I want to refer to them as demons, by the same entity that feigns ignorance about me, like they couldn't be concerned the least about me, but then they engage in what are making assertions that are not even true. So if you're not paying attention to me, why is it all of a sudden that you're lying? This is also why you document, because the entity is engaged in a pattern of conduct intending to obstruct justice, lying on you so that you can be. Remember, the entity relies on criminal summoning. The police don't just, when they're exercising fictitious authority under the Constitution, when they're just engaging in barbarism and they're just going around hauling people into jail without any sort of law and order or any sort of constitutional framework, then they're going to go around and just haul people out of their homes and in public and take them to jail. But when the entity is engaging in what is exercising fictitious authority under the Constitution, they rely on criminal summoning. The demon possessed that is gang stalking have to be the ones that quote unquote call them, summon them. That's an illusion, because the police are gang stalking the entire time in the same exact specific environment, obsessively, as the Ontario Police and the Los Angeles Police Department have proven. And the entity is making also malicious assertions about me. And they're also abnormally perturbed about what is the same thing that they're doing. Do you know why they're bothered by the use of my phone? Why they're bothered by my being in and out and capturing the sky and the environment? Because they know the significance of what it is that I'm documenting. That's why. And on top of that, the entity lies about what it is that I have done or whatnot. And this is also why you document. But even those lies, understand, the documentation, yes, you're proving that they're liars. You're proving that even in that you're lying, you're targeting me. But it's proving the fact that they are gang stalkers. Because why are you lying for no reason? Like, what is it? It's for purposes of criminal summoning, for purposes of stopping documentation, obstruction of justice. And remember, this is a furtherance of murder and kidnapping. That's no small thing. In any federal case, when you want to engage in obstruction of justice, that's a hefty price to pay. All right, so the entity is engaging in this, and to do so via psychological torture, stalking with impossible light, as opposed to criminal summoning, that's not an available tactic either with regard to prosecution. The entity does it, but you're going to punish for that as well. You're going to prosecute for that as well. It's all relevant to the entity that's hostile because it knows that it's being documented. So you resort to having helicopter activity, which points directly to the people of the state that, again, conduct themselves as though nothing is happening. They do the same thing under the fake sun. They do the same thing with the impossible light activity. This is what Tracy Banks is doing inside of her own apartment. Like sunlight isn't sitting on her ceiling above her head. Like she's not walking into a cloud of light that's just appearing out of nowhere in the living room. She acts oblivious to it when she's walking in the kitchen and the engineer light is piercing through the peephole. When she is walking in it and it's touching the kitchen wall, acting oblivious to it. That does not make it less probative. It makes it more suspicious that the people of the state engage in that sort of conduct. And it's revealing their engagement in the P.O.C. as opposed to what the appearance was supposed to make it look like with somebody else that doesn't know how to tie that together, that doesn't know how to articulate what is the malice of the entity. That doesn't work with me. You're understanding the entity's a failure and having a normal reaction as a normal person in a normal environment where you would notice things like that. The entity's engagement in what is a pattern of conduct as though it's not happening is the evidence of their engagement in it. Okay, it's the purpose to also. But mental illness is not created by everybody else acting like somebody is mentally ill when they're not. That's just gossip and gang conduct. That's groupthink conduct. And that is also dangerous as a society to operate. This is what gang stalking relies on, however. Because everybody acts like engineer light doesn't happen and that the fake sun isn't there, and that the police aren't flying in circles over the building in a loud manner like it's not happening, that doesn't mean, first of all, that it's not happening, and number two, that doesn't make the person that is pointing it out mentally ill, contrary to the logic, the rationale, and the conduct of the entity that is gang stalking. Okay? All they are is engaging in gang conduct. And they are doing so because they are targeting that one person. All right? So, like I said, the entity has no facts, no supportive facts, and the entity has no sense of normalcy with regard to any and everything that they're doing. The reason why I document what you just heard is ordering a drink. These Rachel and Ruth
they're gang stalking. While I order a drink, they're gang stalking. While I am in Stater Brothers across the street, they're gang stalking. They're gang stalking with the patrons that are inside of this venue. They're gang stalking when I'm at the museum, and they are already apprised because I'm being monitored that I'm en route to this venue. This is the demon possessed. Okay, so the entity engages in the same pattern like is underway at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Starbucks has a schedule. Which I'm sure management has outlined for the franchises to keep not only the establishment clean, but the bathrooms clean. And the pattern of conduct of Starbucks with regard to harassment is to cease to engage in cleaning the bathroom once I remain at the venue and I document there. They stop cleaning the bathroom. While the people of the state that pace in and out of it to monitor me, they're engaging in what is keeping it in a filthy manner. And they also know, because it's a personal pet peeve of mine, filthiness, understand that this is relevant to harassment. I'm not just pointing out details that don't matter. This is relevant because you're going to prosecute the entity for every type of harassment where a people, corrupt businesses who are the people of the state, are engaging in what is deviating from what are company policies. Oh, it's your management policy, your corporate office, Seattle likes for you to keep a filthy bathroom? Well, that's interesting because Seattle is engaged in, Starbucks is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. So whatever their unhealthy and unfit business practices are, my documented pattern is that Starbucks keeps the bathroom clean before they open and before they close it. And when I am documenting, when I remain in the venue, like I've been at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, they cease to engage in that. They keep it in a filthy state, and by filthy I mean paper all over the place. They keep people's waste matter in the toilet, and the people of the state leave it in that manner on purpose, and Starbucks does not go behind and clean it because Starbucks is engaged in that harassment as well. And it is literally about me. The engineer light is speaking to the fact that it is about me. The fake sun over the Starbucks is speaking to the fact that it is literally about me. The government engaging in gang stalking at the Starbucks is exposing the fact that it is literally about me. I'm documenting them for harassment while they engage in petty tactics such as keeping a filthy bathroom, which is doing nothing other than soiling the name of Starbucks, which is associated with domestic terrorism, associated with sexual perversion, associated with psychological torture and all manner of horrible things. Like I said, the demon-possessed fail to understand the bigger picture here, and that's because they're more obsessed with me and my vagina. They're more obsessed with stalking me than they are with understanding at a macro level what is happening right now. And it is the exposure and a prosecution, a comprehensive one, including against companies like Starbucks that make a lot of money gang stalking with the American people and make a lot of money targeting American citizens. That's the part that they're not including in their commercials. All right, it's currently 8:47 a.m. Coming from the Ontario Museum of History and Art, going to Stater Brothers, third-party facilitating venue, Ontario Village. They're already on the record, gang stalking, before 2025, before 2024. All right, and it's a complete record, the entirety of the specific environment, including gang stalking with the, and by with I mean because they're gang stalking now in the absence, and I put that in air quotes because the government is always present through the people. The entity is acting vicariously on behalf of that state that's engaging in criminal surveillance. However, the government acting directly, meaning they are in your line of vision, in the path, in any method. I've documented the entirety of the pattern of conduct where I'm at right now. All right, and so this is Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. I was at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and the entity keeping the fake sun from 11:11 a.m. until I documented it after 7 p.m. yesterday at the same address. Okay, that's the ASIN entity and the obvious engagement in the criminal surveillance system, and it's not only obvious, you need to understand it's criminal because it's state action with the people, it's public corruption, but it's demonic. They're not just preparing drinks, they're engaging in harassment all day long, stalking with the crews. The creation of their drinks is created to the rhythm of what I do as I operate my devices, as I move in the venue, and those are demons with the ability to do that. It's monitoring. It's currently 8:48 a.m. on June 8, 2025. This is P.O.C. All right, license 5WKX864 8LCA974. Gang stalking through the drive-thru in concert with the patron. This is a demon that's coming into the venue, stalking in the path in operation of a communication device. Coming in and out, picking up a drink is pacing. Excuse me. They're all pacing, but all they're doing is pacing in that specific environment. Yeah. It's currently 8:52 a.m. and this is what the entity, just like I showed at Starbucks, all of Euclid Avenue, all of what is D Street, what is Laurel, all of the street. In other words, you can picture big picture. Starbucks all around me is, I'm inside of Starbucks while the fake sun is above the Starbucks from morning until evening. And then all the entity is doing is pacing all around me, monitoring outside of the Starbucks and inside the drive-through, the parking lot, and on the inside as well. All they're doing is pacing, and it's very sick behavior, and the entity is exposed for being mentally ill and doing that. But it's criminal monitoring, and it's the entities. That's all the entity is doing. Also, the fake sun, like I stated, is context regarding what they're doing at all times. This is an unnatural environment, and it's the same whether the fake sun is shining or not. The fake sun is letting you know, take another look at what's going on. This is monitoring, and it's in an environment that's entirely unnatural. So the fake sun is leading you to understanding what's happening at nightfall, what's happening regardless of the state of the weather, which is not normal. It's not the natural environment. Okay? So that is ongoing, and they are pacing, coming in and out, picking up drinks. Everything is based on what I do, and that's very sick because that's the reality. And that fact is known, as opposed to me just fabricating it and making it up. It's known based on how the entity has provided what is documentation showing how literally the weather, the environment is focused on me, i.e. the fake sun. It's the same with their behavior. It's focused on me. It's 8:54 a.m. P.O.C. All right, you will see the fake sun over the window of the Starbucks that I'm located in, and you'll see my shadow on the inside, speaking to the immediacy of that light source, which is speaking to Starbucks. The company is stalking. So understand the system of gang stalking that is underway by the government and comes with the people, and that is speaking to the business establishments that are gang stalking with the government to being prosecuted for stalking, where their establishment is a facilitating venue identified in that specific environment. In addition, the people of the state being prosecuted for gang stalking, which is domestic terrorism and psychological torture, war tactics committed by government against American citizens, for which you can be subject to federal prison. And it is necessary, with regard to understanding the P.O.C, the diagnosis of the psychopaths engaging in it. Starbucks is currently engaging in the same third parties that you hear me, Rachel, Ruth, pacing around and creating their drinks with regard to noise that they're stalking me with. Engineer light dancing on the walls, just like the demons at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Which is impossible light activity appearing on the inside of the building, where the fake sun is over the outside of the building at 9:30 in the morning. Remember, the entity is keeping the fake sun over Linda Reyes, while the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking by helicopter at 8:49 a.m., like I documented on May 8, 2025. And I'm documenting the fake sun over me remaining for the duration of the day until the end of the day, which is what was so extraordinary about that pattern of conduct, that it remained over that apartment building, but I'm capturing it over, and that's just one example. The entity kept the fake sun at 9 a.m. At 6:33 a.m., where it never deviated from being over the apartment of the demons in units 33 through 64. And you have what is placement at 706 West Holt Boulevard, even earlier than its placement over 507 North Euclid Avenue. So how at 11:11 a.m. will the sun be over the front door entrance of Starbucks at Euclid Avenue and D Street? It won't. The pattern of conduct is such that it's going to stay over this building for the duration of the day, where gang stalking remains underway. Federal stalking remains underway by the people of the state who are pacing in and out of the venue, monitoring together, and Starbucks is profiting from domestic terrorism in doing so. Their timing that they're entering, the timing that they're moving in the drive-thru, the timing that they're exiting is with regard to stalking me, keeping me under surveillance. Movement in the engineer light, which is filling the venue. You can see the shadow under the bar. I took a picture of the shadow of the bar chairs, which are inside of the building, underneath the table, impossible light, while you're looking at demons standing around in engineer light with their communication devices, buying their drink, which is the guise under which gang stalking is happening at a facilitating venue referred to as Starbucks, which sells coffee. They're doing so while the people of the state are pacing in the drive-thru, and engineer light is dancing on the walls, just like the volcano of lights you saw in Starbucks. They have the volcano of lights, if you will, on the walls, while the people of the state are gang stalking, purchasing through the drive-thru. And these are the demon-possessed that are engaging in the monitoring conduct. So this is all state action. The entity is keeping this fake sun that you see at 9:30 a.m. Don't forget what I documented on June 3rd, 2025. on the date of release from kidnapping, where this entity engages in gang stalking, and the fake sun is visible through the windows of this same Starbucks after 7 p.m. when I take a picture of that. And I will remind you about that. In fact, I'll do what is one of the invaluable screenshots to show you that Rachel is gang stalking that you hear on my podcast, that Ruth is gang stalking. All these demons are monitoring, engaging in what is harassment and psychological torture as they prepare drinks, and it's the guise under which they are stalking with activity. They are overweight, Latina, demon-possessed third parties who are wearing Starbucks baristas and engaging in terrorism while being paid by Starbucks to do so, which Starbucks doesn't have any constitutional right under the law to maintain a business in doing that, and to also facilitate it with the people of the state who are employed at its venue, which is used as a facilitating venue for terrorism and, in other words, gang stalking. So I will remind you about where the fake sun is at June 3rd, 2025, because it's not going to be seen out of the drive-through window of Starbucks like I documented yesterday at 7:26 p.m. After it being over the same Starbucks at 11:11 a.m. nonetheless. But it's visible at 7:26 p.m. through the drive-through window of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue yesterday. And on June 3rd, when I'm sitting inside of the same exact Starbucks at San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, the fake sun is perfectly aligned with my person. And I take a picture of it while I'm sitting inside of this same building. And the entity is engaging in conduct such that the sun is, again, engaged in this conduct of both rising and setting at one location, which is removing Florida from ever having a sun in its sky space at all. And it's exposing Rachel and Ruth and every other demon-possessed gang stalker wearing Starbucks baristas and making noise as I document them by name for prosecution for federal abuse, stalking, and monitoring. These are the demons that engage in monitoring when your vagina is exposed in the bathroom. These are the demons that engage in leaving the bathroom filthy because of their harassment, their hostility to being documented. These are the demons that are engaging in gang stalking with children. These are the demons that engage in gang stalking via criminal summoning. These are the demons that are engaging in exhibiting severe mental illness while their psychopathic and criminal pattern of conduct is documented for public exposure and for prosecution. All right, there's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies. There's one male. He's quite tall, curly top, Caucasian. He's got to be at least 6 feet tall. And he's gang stalking with these, they're all overweight. So they're Latina females. They appear to be olive skinned Latina females, overweight, all dark brunette hair. They're gang stalking with the impossible light inside of the Starbucks. And it is the same exact pattern of conduct that I've already documented as well. So it is currently 9:35 a.m. I'll show you the documentation, remind you about what is already the P.O.C. because there's no sun over me in Los Angeles while it's outside of the building, seen through the window of the Starbucks in Ontario at San Antonio and Holt. This is not the sun that's going to be over the apartment building at Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 G Street, where Tracy has sunlight that frames her front door, and that's supposed to be some absurdly ridiculous explanation for the sun that's outside of her apartment building, remaining for the duration of the day, by the way. It's not the sun that is over 507 North Euclid Avenue as I stand at the front door facing Chevron, which is the direction east, while I'm standing at that venue. It is certainly not the sun that would be anywhere in Los Angeles, like I stated, documenting the sunrise and the sunset through the windows of that apartment where I never leave that property, documenting gang stalking by the LAPD in that specific environment in concert with the people of the state. Engaging in gang stalking by residents and by trade. So that means the people of the state that were servicing the property, coming and cleaning the property, emptying the garbage on the property, doing the landscaping on the property, they were gang stalking me under the fake sun, as that documentation shows state surveillance beyond a reasonable doubt. It is so much beyond a reasonable doubt, it is supernatural, something that you can't even control or manipulate yourself. That's understanding the satanic targeting system where criminal surveillance is underway. It's federal stalking under Title 18 as well, Title 18. And this is what Starbucks is doing, is further corroborating the prosecution of the elderly community gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments at 408 West G Street in Ontario, California. They're stalking under the Violence Against Women Act. They're also in, that's 34 U.S.C. 12291. They're gang stalking and they're engaging in federal stalking pursuant to Title 18, like I just quoted. And they are engaged in criminal surveillance with the government in violation of your constitutional rights, doing so with the people of the state which is government action they're going to be prosecuted for, and also the government itself kidnapping with corrupt law enforcement agencies who are not actual law enforcement agencies. They're a terrorist organization, and they are masquerading as a law enforcement agency that has authority under the law, and that's exactly why they're going to be disbanded, but prosecuted for repeated acts of kidnapping while keeping me under surveillance, seeking to obstruct justice, manufacturing charges in doing so, criminally defaming in order to do so. They're going to be disbanded for that. It is currently 9:38 a.m. where surveillance is underway at Starbucks. And surveillance is recognized through that specific environment. And it's also Starbucks, which is their headquarters is in Seattle. They engage in terrorism with impossible light activity. And they're engaging in terrorism with regard to what is their psychopathic disorders. The entity that engages in the demonic is very much demented in the mind, and the light activities is directly relevant to the sick mind that is gang stalking. The entity that is targeting as one is directly relevant and probative of the sick mind that is gang stalking. The sex offender that's monitoring in places like bathrooms when your genitalia is when you're not even using a phone. It has nothing to do with monitoring your device. It's the sex offender that's speaking to the sick mind of the gang stalker. It is currently 9:39 a.m. and those images will be uploaded to the Google Drive. The people of the state are engaging in surveillance. It is an ongoing state issue where I am remaining at Starbucks in Little 0706 West Holt Boulevard, and the state is monitoring me at this venue. It is evident through the maintenance of an environment that defies nature. The fake sun that's remaining over the Starbucks for the duration of the day is never the natural environment, and it does not coexist with the sun being over in Las Vegas, Nevada, with the sun being in Texas, with the sun being in Miami, Florida. This is an exclusive light source that's remaining over Starbucks, which is showing that Starbucks is the venue where I'm being kept under surveillance with a population of people. And these are demons. That's the condition of these people who are engaging in very obvious criminal conduct. It is currently 9:39 a.m. This is P.O.C. License 9JNJ903, 6XDP754. I just want to see something. Yeah, the entity that's surrounding the venue while impossible light activity is dancing on the walls. They're engaging in terrorism and psychological torture. They're violent sex offenders as well. When my vagina is exposed, they're doing the same thing, pacing around inside and outside of the bathroom, all around the venue, and they share in sexual violence together, knowing about my physical state. 9FIJ003. Those are sex offenders, and the fake sun is now over the front portion of the building. Hey, Rachel, right?
Yeah.
Hey. She's stalking, coming outside to cross path with me on the patio area. License 9BUJ757, 6Y30V17, that's paper. License, you'll recall the Ontario Police Department gang stalking me at this Starbucks where you're seeing the fake sun at 9 in the morning. Well, I arrive here at approximately during the 3 p.m. hour, and Ontario flies right over my vehicle, targeting where the fake sun is right over me in the same parking lot that it is right now at 9:41 a.m., targeting where the Ontario International Airport. CX65X03 paper is clearly gang stalking. P.O.C. 4C, yeah, I read their license plate. 6AKN474. 8REC762, 8PXT373. All right, and this is what the entity is doing with regard to targeting while I am under the fake sun at 9:41 a.m. at Starbucks. And the documentation of the fake sun and the Ontario International Airport gang stalking under the fake sun while the people of the state cross paths. 6P76786. That's a Latino male driving a Silverado Chevrolet, impossible light while he crosses path. The fake sun is over this venue, and Rachel paces in and out of the venue to stalk me. She's stalking with maintaining presence in the path. It is currently 9:41 a.m. All right, as you can hear on the podcast, the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. The fake sun is here at 9:41 San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, and this is pacing. This is light activity, and it's also light activity by their vehicles, but they're driving an engineer light. This isn't the sun, neither is any of the sunlight. This is crossing path conduct. And you'll be mindful of the fact that this is where on the podcast you can hear the Ontario International Airport gang stalking, and where they're flying, the fake sun is over the San Bernardino TAD office at 10:45 in the morning on Holt Boulevard. The entity is going to keep the fake sun right here at 10:45 in the morning. The entity's keeping the fake sun at the same time at Woodside Senior Apartments, as I documented at 10:46 a.m., where HD Supply is gang stalking, where I'm at Unit 51. This is not over Unit 51. It's right here over 706 West Holt Boulevard, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking at all of the aforesaid venues, both at the Holt Boulevard nearest the airport, where you're not taking off over here, you're targeting, and this is evidence of targeting by the airport that you can hear, using plane activity while the demon possessed are stalking in the path by purchasing a drink. This is corrupt business practices by the people of the state, going by the name of Starbucks. It's light activity, relevant positioning, monitoring with the government. That is also gang stalking me, as I documented at this Starbucks in 2024, where the Ontario Police Department fly right over my head while this fake sun is still over me at this same parking lot after I came from Los Angeles. Not the museum, not Woodside Senior Apartments. The entity was keeping the fake sun over me in Los Angeles, at Monrovia, at West Covina, and what is Pasadena, where I'm staying in the hotels, where I've driven to Las Vegas, and the entity was keeping the fake sun, and now it's keeping it in Ontario over 507 North Euclid Avenue all day long, and over the Starbucks that I've documented both the sunrise and a sunset. This is where the fake sun is present on June 3rd, 2025, after the day I'm released from kidnapping, after 7 p.m. as I take a picture of it through this same window. This is the entity that is gang stalking together. This is exposing public corruption. They enter in and out of the venue with regard to monitoring me, making sure that they're keeping presence and they keep activity. They're monitoring via communication devices, and they're monitoring with the city of Ontario that's stalking by plane and helicopter over this venue. And this is clearly deviating from the sun being over the entrance of the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue at 11:11 a.m., at 11:32 a.m., at 11:45 a.m. The entity is going to keep the fake sun right here. And it's certainly not on Holt Boulevard, where the Ontario International Airport would have planes taking off from there like you see on video. But you have what is necessarily a deviation from taking off and hovering in order for you to even hear plane activity at this location, at this vantage point of Holt Boulevard in San Antonio, where Terminal 2 and Terminal 4, you would already have been taken off and at a heightened elevation where you're not even going to see or hear any planes. The Ontario International Airport, Alan D. WAPNER, a gang stalking demon who wears a headdress to be mistaken as a Jew. Jews are engaged in gang stalking in Ontario. That's what Alan D. WAPNER represents. He's a corrupt government actor. He's a sex offender obsessed with my vagina, and he is responsible for gang stalking using commercial planes from the Ontario International Airport, stalking me for years in Ontario, including at Woodside Senior Apartments, where there's no sun over 706 West Holt, like you see here, and there's no sunlight that's going to move across the gate while a demon moves their vehicle, 8LNJ008. That's the identification of demons who are targeting very clearly. And Starbucks, the brand, documented pattern, is going to be prosecuted, and the people of the state that are gang stalking via Starbucks are going to be prosecuted. That's all pacing. You know, when they drive, impossible light flies through the building. Those are all demons. This is gang stalking that's underway. The sun is not going to be present at one address. That's Delta Airlines gang stalking. And that's not a takeoff. You're not taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 hovering over Starbucks. And you know that Delta Airlines is gang stalking. They were doing the same thing under the fake sun, flying over the Unicare at D Street and Euclid, where the fake sun was over me at 507 North Euclid Avenue. They're not taking off right here. That's clearly targeting, and it's very highly unintelligent, and it was very problematic that they just did that again on video. I'm going to prosecute them. But nonetheless, that's speaking to Alan D. WAPNER. That's exactly what they did under the 4:45 p.m. fake sun at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake sun sat all day long. At 7 p.m., there is no sun that's still going to be at one address, and that's what I documented on June 3rd. So it's currently 9:46 a.m. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours from now, the entity is surrounded with evidence serving to prosecute for criminal surveillance. And this is domestic terrorism. They're gang stalking with Starbucks. Starbucks is engaged in gang stalking, and doing so with the government that's flying over its venue, doing so with the government that's amplifying noise so that the venue can engage in gang stalking with the government in Ontario, and doing so with impunity while keeping the evidence against it while they participated in it on video under surveillance. P.O.C. This is just pacing in and out, which is what they're all doing. All right, Starbucks has been documented as engaging in terrorism for years, and they're violent sex offenders keeping my vagina under surveillance in the bathroom in this facilitating venue. 70FW869. This is P.O.C. This is P.O.C. The fake sun stays all day long. P.O.C. All right, the image that you will see is an image of a third-party gang stalker monitoring, gang stalking, engaging in what is demonic activity, a mother and son. She's gang stalking with her child. She's gang stalking with the government, including her child. It's nothing endearing or sweet. It's entirely malicious and it's very sick. And it's also very creepy. They engage in sexual violence in that manner as well. She's doing so with her minor kids sitting in engineer light. Very demonic is what you're looking at. P.O.C. It's 9:49 a.m. under the fake sun at Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard in Ontario, California. Impossible light activity on the ceiling up here. This is impossible light activity. First of all, it's not the sun. Second of all, this is gang stalking with minor children, and this is going to be prosecuted as abuse. Including children and gang stalking. But nonetheless, this is the entity that's and also engaging in psychological torture and using children as well. And then it's built into the pattern of conduct of impossible light, the gang stalking that's underway by the government. This is impossible light over here. This is all impossible light over here. And while the demons move, the engineer light cycles and while they're monitoring. It's the demonic synchronicity of relevant positioning, audible activity, and light activity. This is impossible light activity on the ceiling inside, coming through the where the drive-through window is. These demons are working at Starbucks, preparing Starbucks drinks. People are purchasing products from Starbucks while Starbucks is gang stalking. And the government is using the brand name Starbucks to engage in domestic terrorism and psychological torture, which Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for, representing the people of the state, vicariously engaging in terrorism with the United States government. And Starbucks makes a lot of money off of it, all right? Starbucks is relied upon in order to do it. And the Ontario International Airport, pay attention to the flashing engineer light. The Ontario International Airport is engaging in gang stalking with the permission and in concert with Starbucks as it flies over me at this venue where the fake sun is the hallmark. It is the trademark of gang stalking in the specific environment. All of them are listening to me. All of them are focused on me. This entirely supernatural environment is proof of it. This has nothing to do with sunlight. The fake sun is a distinct method of documentation, and the engineer light is a distinct method of documentation. And you're looking at malice. Very sick and depraved conduct, including children in that. This is P.O.C. All of this is P.O.C. Starbucks is indeed monitoring, and the fake sun is here, documented June 3rd after 7 p.m. This is the clear engagement in the pattern of conduct. And this is pacing while they're making drinks, stalking with amplified noise while these are demons who are monitoring. And they're also sex offenders monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, all right? And this is what they include children in, all right? This is monitoring while eating, talking, being in relevant position with your minor kids. It doesn't help the appearance of gang stalking. She looks like a sicko, and that's exactly what she is. Training children, domestic terrorism. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity is keeping the fake sun over Los Angeles Alvarado Gardens, where I'm documenting. The entity is gang stalked with LAPD. There's nothing healthy about this situation right here, and the entity is doing so while knowing that they're being documented. 8XET364 7JAL928. Sun, moving your vehicle doesn't create a storm of light on the inside. They're demons. This is monitoring. This is exactly the same pattern. Coming in and getting your drink, pacing, and engineer light. And the fake sun remains after 7 p.m. documented on June 3rd and before June 3rd of 2025. But this is showing you the consistent body of evidence, all right? This is P.O.C. This is targeting by Starbucks. I'm going to prosecute corrupt companies like speaker companies, like Avanath Capital Management, like Starbucks, like Delta Airlines for engaging in domestic terrorism and doing so while making $1. And doing so, even more of it, as I documented them, while they are engaged in federal stalking. And including children is just a basis to lose custody of them. That's all impossible light activity while you're gang stalking with children, all right? That's entirely pathetic, and it's also documented abuse of minor children, including them in sexual violence, including them in psychological torture, including them in domestic terrorism with the government. It is currently, by the way, 9:59 a.m. This is where bathroom monitoring is ongoing. Their shadows are appearing. This is demonic. To possible light activity. This is P.O.C. Okay, it is currently 10:18 a.m. So I'm taking pictures of how the pattern of conduct is executed. They're walking in the front doors, and while the impossible light is visible, more concentrated that is on the wall, they're all in engineer light, including at nightfall. The engineer light is more concentrated. The engineer light is more circus-like as you see it moving on the walls at the same time that the vehicles move. The demons pace in and out, picking up their drinks and their meals with regard to monitoring and sync. The demon-possessed are maintaining a demonic synchronicity, 9KTR790, stalking in the path and monitoring with the demons that walk inside, that are crossing path with me inside of the cafe, while the impossible light moves all over the wall, and impossible light is stationary on the floor, and it's also dynamic on the ceiling and in the far wall where the bathroom hallway is. 8THE922. This is how they're also sex offenders monitoring you when you're in that private space as well. Where engineer light is reaching in through a drive-through window, where engineer light is dancing in the air, where engineer light is also stationary on the ground. The people of the state are gang stalking in that environment, and that is the malicious engagement, and these are the demon possessed that do so. So you're looking at that. That's the what I'm taking pictures of, and it is Starbucks engaged in that ongoing cycle together, pacing into the cafe, pacing around the cafe using the drive-through, and the fake sun remains for the duration of the day as long as I remain. That's why it's not over the entrance of Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which is not in perfect alignment with the window facing San Antonio, and then the parking lot when I go out the front entrance, which is the movement of the fake sun, by the way. And that's why Delta Airlines is flying over the parking lot where this fake sun is over me. And Delta Airlines is in no position to be even seen or heard because the entity is necessarily hovering from after taking off from the airport, the Ontario International Airport, at 2900 and 2500 Airport Road. There is no taking off where you would be at, then necessarily lowering an elevation to be over the parking lot for me to see the underbelly of the Delta Airlines plane, to hear any plane activity. But you are aware of that as I scrutinize on a common sense basis what would be the production of evidence that the Ontario International Airport, that the airlines, that the government actors themselves, the terrorists that are systematically engaging in stalking American citizens using commercial planes, they would produce their company practices, and there is no provision where the planes are going to be over this street, over this parking lot, over the roof, like I've documented, over Unicare at D Street in Euclid, over the Starbucks building, over Woodside Senior Apartments. When you are taking off from Terminal 2 or Terminal 4, taking Alaska Airlines, which makes international flights, and they're hovering over the Ontario Town Square, and by hovering, it's over the roof. When you're taking off from the airport, Terminal 2, Terminal 4, there's no provision for anything that the Ontario International Airport has been documented engaging in. And it is targeting. It's seen as targeting. That deviation from what is taking off from the airport is the evidence speaking to targeting by the airport. That is in a wealth of documentation targeting me at Economy Inn, flying over my hotel room, where also the fake sun remains over my hotel room from the beginning until the end of the day, rising over the pool and setting over that same roof of that hotel. The same pattern of conduct that I'm documenting at Starbucks, that I'm documenting at this Starbucks in 706 West Holt Boulevard. I'm documenting at Woodside Senior Apartments. I'm documenting when I'm remaining in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens. I'm documenting when I'm remaining at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, getting up in the morning and then going back, which is on this same street. The sun is not going to be over the Starbucks in the morning. Big picture. The Starbucks is not going to be, they're streets apart. That doesn't mean that the sun is maintaining perfect alignment through the windows because those addresses are streets apart. This is breaking down the illusion, which is highly illogical, and it's literally ridiculous. And the entity never intended or planned to have logic applied to its stalking behaviors. Stalking with things like light, stalking with things like a fake sun and a fake moon, stalking in objects such as planes and helicopters, where that government conduct is going to be scrutinized in order to prosecute what is clear targeting, and that which is irreconcilable with regard to some sort of rationale for why was the helicopter there, why was the planes there, why is this person always experiencing this in order to document it, and there is no explanation for the specific environment where that person is always documenting that. That's the prosecution of the government. There are a bunch of demons that are targeting, and Starbucks. Very heavily documented. Not only are they demons, but they are engaging in literally the business of Starbucks. In case you did not know, the Starbucks logo is also demonic. But so they're not lying to you about what they're about and what they represent. And Starbucks is also relevant. It's not an accident or a mistake that Starbucks represents quote unquote California culture. The United States, Starbucks is in many ways supposed to be representative of what the United States this capitalistic society, you get your coffee, you go about your way, you go, conquer the day after you get your coffee, your latte. They're a bunch of demons meeting together, monitoring, engaging in what is very psychopathic, very sick and demented psychopaths that are engaging in it as a way of business and as a way of life. And that is, it is representative even in that form, because the entity and the popularity of Starbucks, that is a gang stalker, and the popularity amongst the demon-possessed who are gang stalking as patrons, it's speaking to the current state of affairs with regard to this country and those who are in darkness, and there are more that are in this condition, the demon-possessed, those who are lost, those who are wicked, those who are engaging in criminal conduct that is of a satanic nature. They're not just criminals, they're spiritually lost. They are engaging in, and they are reflective of the current state of this country as a symbol, okay? But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in this, and you're remembering the entity has the fake sun over me when I'm on OmniTrans at 11:19 in the morning. The entity has the fake sun over me when I am at the San Bernardino TAD office at 10:45 in the morning. The entity, it has the fake sun at this Starbucks at 706 West Holt when I am here at 7 p.m. in the evening, which I took a picture of on June 3rd, 2025. The entity has the fake sun remaining from sunrise and sunset, never moving from the building itself at Woodside Senior Apartments. And then you have what I'm documenting in 2024, the entity keeping a fake sun over me while all the corrupt businesses that I formerly worked with as the community manager at Alvarado Gardens for speaker companies, who was gang stalking me as an employee and as a resident at Alvarado Gardens, where the fake sun would rise and set, and at nightfall replete with a fake moon over me in my apartment. All right, the entity is engaging in this very clearly identifiable, plain pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so in the face. That is a stalker that has been trying to hide the fact that they're stalking, and now they're proven to be a stalker, and they're still stalking, which is speaking to the sick mindset, relevant for mental examinations, and it's also relevant for what is restraining that stalker that has no interest, or perhaps is relevant to their mental illness, no ability to control their impulse to stalk me obsessively. In addition to that, it's exposing what is necessary with regard to legislation for a government that's full of demons, that is targeting American citizens in the ways in which Starbucks demonstrates. Starbucks represents the people of the state. Starbucks is doing what the people of the state are doing everywhere, whether they have a business to do it or not, whether they have a logo engaging in it or not. It's the people of the state that are providing whatever they have at their disposal. Starbucks is using its property, it's a venue. Starbucks is using its employees, the people of the state, and they're doing so with the very patrons. And that's also against public policy, where you are profiting from domestic terrorism and psychological torture. But you're going to pay attention to what was documented on this day in 2024 on June 8th. I believe it's a Saturday, and I'm engaging in what is work phone calls. I'm subject to federal stalking on the venue of the internet on my communication device. The entity is covering up the fake sun that I've already documented rising and setting in that same apartment. The entity is maintaining, and that's what's relevant. The entity that has the fake sun over Starbucks right now, it's already the P.O.C. The entity is covering up the fake sun in the morning, as though that's deviating from some sort of inability to make an ongoing connection about the pattern of conduct with regard to the fake sun, or that the pattern of conduct is paused because the fake sun isn't up shining over me at 7 in the morning, or that there's some cease in that criminal pattern of conduct because you can't see it directly over my. The engineered light is always present, number one. The fake sun is indicative of what is targeting by an entire entity. The fake sun documentation is kept under surveillance by the demon-possessed. The entity is engaged in what is psychopathic gang stalking, and the pattern of conduct remains underway. That's what's relevant about the fake sun, which, by the way, that supernatural feature of the pattern of conduct is indicative of a ceaseless pattern of conduct, and it is speaking to what is supernatural with regard to the ongoing maintenance of that pattern of conduct. Okay, so the entity is, again, speaking to knowledge that it's documented. Where you have tornadoes of lights on the ceiling, the entity covering up the fake sun, showing the fake sun, you only have to capture the supernatural one time. And it includes tornadoes of light in the air, on the walls, on the ceilings. It includes a fake sun over one building for the duration of the day, where one person had the presence of mind to document it. And there's no getting out of it. In fact, the government is going to be prosecuted for ongoing obsessive stalking of one person by a whole government. Like you're using airline planes to stalk me. I'm that important. You're using helicopters of a whole police department that's utilizing all of its resources to stalk me. And then you're doing it on camera. The most imprudent defendants in a federal case for terrorism that, it's unprecedented. It's never been heard of before. But it's the most unwise collection of demons. But like I said, the demonic is not intelligent. They're just plenty. That's it. There's just a lot of demons. That doesn't mean that they're smart. And the documentation, the prosecution, the ongoing exposure of the investigation of the government reveals that. Okay, you're dealing with what are impulses. You're dealing with what is basic demonic obsessions, not the ability to control yourself, not the ability to act prudently, not the ability to apply any wisdom, not the ability to engage in any rational reasoning, and that's also very easy to document and catch the demons up in their own illusions and prosecute them because they're not sharp at all. And I don't care how educated. Look at the demon-possessed Robert Luna. He's a college graduate, I believe. He has a legal background. He has a college degree. That does not make you, like I said, and I'm not one stating that I am exceptional because of my college degree and because of my law degree. It's a combination. It's also having integrity, and it's also, I want to be clear, it's above and beyond that. The majority is Christ Jesus and you, period. Now, yes, the Lord has anointed what it is that I am skilled in, but it's because of Him. You can have as many demons as you want, as you see. No matter how powerful they think they are or how educated and capable they are, they're finding out they're not. None of them are. And they also lack basic self-control tactics when you are being prosecuted. This is going to be very painful in court, very painful. It's 10:30 a.m. The demons are engaged in that ongoing ritual, pacing coming inside of the apartment, pacing around through the drive-through where the engineer light is occurring with simultaneity. This is what Euclid Avenue is doing. The demon possessed on Euclid Avenue, pacing while the engineer light, the tornadoes of light are occurring at the same time inside of the venue. It's the same pattern of conduct, and it's supernatural. This is criminal monitoring at a commercial venue, and it's state action. Starbucks isn't a private actor. Starbucks is a third party. Starbucks is engaged in gang stalking and is making money off of it. That's exactly what is going to be a basis of prosecution, civil and criminal. You're not going to profit from domestic terrorism. It has been, but that's going to be dealt with. Okay, it's going to be dealt with, and it's going to be addressed, and it's also going to be addressed with regard to federal law, where domestic terrorism is underway by the government, by corrupt companies like Starbucks. All right, it is currently 10:30 a.m. That's all audible activity. In engineer light that's all over the ceiling and walls, and that's how you know that the drink preparations is not actually about the company itself, it's about me. They're monitoring. This is P.O.C. Alrighty. The tall purple creature, monitoring and harassing pursuant to knowledge of documentation. License B85751, driving a ashy blue Hyundai Elantra. Again, that's license plate 8B575. While I'm at it, license 6WPH300CY30V17 paper 6MGOD31 8VZE539. The fake sun is still over the same Starbucks that I've documented at sunrise, by the way, at 706 West Holt, but the same Starbucks that it was at 9 in the morning, on video at 9:42 in the morning, 9:55 in the morning. It is 1:02 p.m. Where again, license plate 88575. That's a California plate. This is a tall African or African American male. He's purple. He's gang stalking, and the entity engages in. Remember, when they're gang stalking you, they're monitoring you. They're also harassing you. It's affecting your communication devices. And the demon possessed who are exposed sex offenders, they derive some sort of a pleasure out of that when you're being prosecuted for it. These are the psychopaths that are going to be subject to what is a federal prosecution. But nonetheless, pacing in the engineered light and then immediately interrupting the operation of my communication device when they're pacing, like exposing your mental illness, exposing your engagement in the P.O.C, being exposed as a sex offender. The gang stalkers are monitoring my vagina as well, so you're aware of that. And he does so with knowledge of, meaning the absence of a coincidence while that is happening after I just documented you. Engaging in that P.O.C. under the fake sun that's remaining, again, yet over another venue, which is not a coincidence. The clinical term is it's a pattern of conduct. So the entity is keeping the fake sun nowhere over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm documenting the entity gang stalking for the duration of the day amongst volcanoes, not volcanoes, but tornadoes of light. Supernatural, the maintenance of the sun over the Starbucks, it remained until 7:26. yesterday at 507 North Euclid Avenue. That's not ever over the roof seen at the same time. It's not going to be in Los Angeles, certainly, at any point during this time of year, contrary to what I documented, in order to secure that African-American gang-stalking sex offender who comes into Starbucks to target me with the company and with the population on behalf of the government. It is currently 1:04 p.m. The fake sun is over the same roof where Delta Airlines is gang-stalking me on video today at 9:42 a.m. It's still over the same roof as I walk out front at the entrance and get the people of the state license 9KKF229. They're engaging in federal stalking together. The entity is maintaining impossible light activity, traveling across the roofs and the ceilings as a means of harassment and terrorism, just like you see on video at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. It is the hardcore pattern of conduct of Starbucks, who's going to be prosecuted for psychological torture, for the perpetual sex offense, for domestic terrorism, and for acting with the intent to obstruct justice. That means you're going to psychologically torture and harass and terrorize more as more and more demons arrive to engage in criminal surveillance with the government that's acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. Starbucks leans in more as opposed to ceasing to engage in that pattern of conduct. That's proven by the evidence as well, the supernatural character of their criminal conduct, such as light moving all across inside of the venue while a bunch of psychopaths are acting like they're living their lives and minding their business, and it's the demonstration of mental illness. It's psychopathic. It is currently 1:05 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, a sex offender on the run, getting a drink at Starbucks and then going on with their day after they engage in what is a round of gang stalking. Impossible light terrorizing while I am in operation of my device, looking at very damning videos as well, which this sex offender is keeping under surveillance. License 6 Mary Bobby Zebra, 864, driving an old Corolla. Gang stalking with Starbucks, on cameras, engaging in business transactions with the venue that's engaging in gang stalking with the people of the state. And also doing so the same manner, 8GNY843, in the same manner while they pace around in the drive-thru, ongoing engineer light cycling side, just like you see at 507 North Euclid Avenue. The people of the state that are looking at what I'm looking at on my communication device, which they're very hostile to, while I show you the fake sun over me at the same, where this gang stalker accessing habit is under what is the subdued fake sun that I've already documented over me at the same shopping plaza. And the natural environment would dictate that the sun would not be over the same plaza over me across the street at Starbucks like it is right now at 1:33 in the afternoon. 9BBV281. 9MDP411, 9HQA981, and the purpose of their presence in the drive-thru is me. That's why the fake sun is here and impossible light is cycling in while they drive through, just like I captured on video at 9:55 a.m., where the fake sun is still remaining at 1:32 p.m. They are indeed gang stalking and engaging in terrorism, and this is the mental illness of psychopaths that are targeting American citizens. The entity engages in kidnapping American citizens, falsely depicting their character, while actually mentally ill, demon-possessed actors are engaging in criminal surveillance with the government, and this is exposing public corruption and the mental illness by those that engage in it. It's entirely psychopathic to stalk with light. That's what they're doing while they're purchasing a drink, and this is supposed to maintain the outward demeanor, the superficial veil of normalcy, where the entity seeks to falsely depict the character of that targeted individual that lacks, the ability to understand what they're subject to. And again, I'm under no circumstances critiquing the ordinary targeted individual. I'm advocating because I understand the malice of the psychopaths and the violent sex offenders who are targeting those who have no sort of ability to, first of all, even address this out of the pit of hell conduct that is designed to target and keep you under surveillance and harass you. In addition to that, the way that they are conducting themselves while they do it is exposing their severe mental instability and the fact that they would do it in the first place. And that's exactly what they're doing in an environment that's impossible to be maintained under all circumstances. And they're surrounded by a body of evidence, and those psychopaths who are obsessed with my genitalia as well are continuously engaging in it. And so everything with regard to their personal lives is put at stake while the entity seeks to take the life and the liberty of that targeted individual whom they are gang stalking. And that's going to be shared by, again, commercial actors are going to be prosecuted like Starbucks. It's 1:33 p.m. The entity is maintaining this iteration of the P.O.C. at a facilitating venue where you have a drive-thru. They're pacing. All they're doing is pacing. Engineer light is maintained inside at the same time that they're moving. That's gang stalking, stalking with light. The fake sun's remaining over the Starbucks. That's the hallmark, recognizing it. I've already documented, even today, Delta Airlines flying over the Ontario Police Department gang stalking at this venue. The Ontario Police Department merely represents the state. Any city that I'm in, that police department is engaging in the same pattern of conduct in that specific environment with the demon-possessed population, the people who engage in this malicious iteration of the P.O.C. It is malicious, but it's highly unintelligent. So all it took is somebody to dissect it, logically break it down, help you to understand the legal reasoning behind how you prosecute something like this that's out of hell. The fact that it's satanic doesn't mean that it's impervious. And it's also not smart at all. They're surrounded and they're going to be prosecuted in the same way that they thought to surround someone in order to take that person's life, and that's myself. And I'm going to prosecute them personally, commercially, and comprehensively. It's 1:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. at 706 West Hall Boulevard. This is ongoing terrorism that Starbucks, the company, is being prosecuted for, and the people of the state. Their business records, the money that they're making, the customers that are they're being documented, that's all going to be used to prosecute them. And that they're literally, it's going to be produced. So the entity is engaged in a POC, and they're doing it to the federal prosecutor. They picked the right person, in other words, to target. It's 1:35 p.m. This is POC. All right, license 8VYA589, 9FCZ161. These represent the people of the state that are, as a whole group, maintaining presence, criminal presence at Starbucks, whose work schedule, the operations of the company, where I am documenting the pattern of conduct, is going to be used to prosecute comprehensively, including all the money that it made while the people of the state are maintaining psychological torture together, while Impossible Light is harassing and terrorizing me while I'm engaged in documenting their stalking at the same time. And the entity is engaging in that on behalf of the government, which has no warrant or probable cause to engage in domestic terrorism of an American citizen. And the entity is doing so intentionally with knowledge. The Impossible Light that I captured on video, you need to understand that's literally an admission that they are stalking me specifically, that they know who I am. The fake sun is literally an admission that the entity is stalking me specifically and that they all know who I am. These are psychopaths who engage in what is supposed to be the anonymous crime that is never supposed to be attached to any person and that no one could ever prove. So that is well out of the ballpark. The entity is still targeting with knowledge that it's being documented as well, and is engaging in what is terrorism with Impossible Light. License 9KMD476, 9SUW704. And they are gang stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. It's also relevant. It's always relevant, everything that I do, but also what I document, what it is I speak about, how I describe the sex offenders, the demons themselves, like the fact that they are obsessed with my vagina. They're obsessed with my being indisposed in the private space. They're obsessed with me. They're obsessed with me when I'm sleeping. This is the reality of the demon possessed who are gang stalking under the fake sun, which I will take a picture of. It's 2:57 p.m. Under no circumstances in the natural environment is the sun remaining over the roof of the 507 North Euclid Avenue at Starbucks, at D Street and Euclid in Ontario, California, even in the same city. It's also like I was documenting when I was living in Los Angeles in 2024, and I was going through my documentation. What was happening on this day in 2022 now that the LAPD is gang stalking in a manner that is entirely impossible for any person to replicate or duplicate coincidentally or accidentally. The entity is under the fake sun in Los Angeles while on this day in 2022, etc., etc. And I'm documenting the absence of the sun over the OVITT Family Community Library, wherever I'm at, while the entity is at the same time of year keeping the fake sun over Woodside Senior Apartments. There is no making any sense or rationalization with regard to what is a clearly manufactured and engineered environment where it is proven that targeting by a government that is practicing satanic means of targeting someone remains underway. And while the demons are filling the drive-thru, Impossible Light fills the venue, and the employees and the patrons together are sharing and gang stalking 04158Y3. And so is the city of Ontario that you see flying over me while the fake sun is over me at the parking lot, like I captured on video. That was at 9:42 a.m. It's 2:58 p.m. and demons are obsessively stalking me. The demons are identified as the people of the state. The demons are exposing what the state of California is doing in the city of Ontario, which is speaking to psychopathic stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping. And they're also violent sex offenders who prey upon my vagina as well. And they call themselves businesses such as Starbucks. They call themselves airports such as Ontario International Airport. They call themselves police departments like the Ontario Police. They call themselves venues such as the Ontario Village Shopping Center. They call themselves respectable human beings, such as Ruth, that's working at the Starbucks behind wearing a barista apron. She's a gang stalking sex offender. She's a raging psychopath whose mental illness is proven by her engagement, her willingness, her participation, her presence. Understand, working at the venue, you don't have to know whether I'm going to arrive here or not. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct seamlessly all right, without missing a step, because she is a gang stalking sex offender. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct everywhere that you go. That's speaking to the intent to murder and kidnap. That's also why you're gang stalking by police who commit kidnappings. And while I'm in the process of publishing this documentation, working on the kidnapping that this entity, Starbucks, engaged in kidnapping. Starbucks that's gang stalking me right now is the same entity that's kidnapping. The entity is going to be prosecuted for that. The entity is targeting with impossible light, like I've already captured. The entity is under a fake sun. That is an impossible occurrence, but you document in order to prove the satanic means that a government is targeting you with regard to psychologically harming you, but also to in furtherance of taking your life and taking your liberty. The entity is doing so with the whole population. So this is what the people of the state and those license plates represent. This is the state of California. So I don't have to document the multiple millions of people in California to prosecute the state of California. The state of California has demonstrated its engagement in a satanic targeting system by virtue of keeping a sun over me at every place that I have documented it, by providing me the evidence to prosecute it. It is currently 3 p.m. So you'll see uploaded to the Google Drive the image of the fake sun over the same location that it was, while a whole demon-possessed population watches me prosecute them. But they're violent sex offenders who are obsessed with their own demise because they are still stalking even while they're witnessing their own demise and exposure. Those that are engaging in this ongoing wage against the lives of American citizens. That's who I'm advocating on behalf of. People who are silent, people who their liberty has already been taken. They're sitting around 6 feet under, and the people of the state are gang stalking with the impunity that I'm exposing. And that's why I document sex offenders and demons in the ways that I do. The entity is doing so with regard to the fake sun. That's relevant to the plane activity, P.O.C. That's United Airlines gang stalking. All right, so that's, again, the impunity of the people of the state that are gang stalking. They're doing the same thing with impossible light activity inside of the venue, cycling across the ceilings and the roofs, walking in and out of the venue, monitoring and engaging in domestic terrorism with impunity. And those that are not natural-born citizens, they deserve the deportation that's coming. All right, the entity is engaging in this with that level of malice, walking out of the cafe at the same time that the Ontario International Airport provides amplified plane activity, is the formula for gang stalking. All right, monitoring and maintaining what is criminal surveillance. The business itself, Starbucks, is engaging in what is stalking as an establishment. The facilitating venue follows. You're going to be prosecuted for that. And so is the employees are stalking. The maintenance of that facilitating venue is how you're recognizing stalking by an entity that thought that it was so clever that nobody would ever see through their satanic guise of targeting somebody. But that is not the case. And you are also not only aware of their mental illness in doing that, but also their mental illness while their obsession persists. They're still gang stalking, and they're going to face a prosecution, and a very embarrassing one. It is currently 3:02 p.m. where amplified plane activity is speaking to gang stalking by Starbucks, where the fake sun remains over me and impossible light surrounds. This is P.O.C. All right, psychopaths are pacing in the Starbucks as they take shifts manning the path, picking up their drinks and their snacks based on operation of my device. The light activity becoming more and more spectacular, just like I documented, in conformity to the pattern of conduct, which is speaking to knowledge and stalking, surveillance of not only the evidence, but myself. And the light activity is, again, like walls of light traveling in the air in the middle of the Starbucks, and the demon-possessed are pacing through it, obsessively stalking in the path inside of the Starbucks to make sure that they're crossing paths with me, especially as I'm uploading the video onto YouTube right now. It's 3:33 p.m., uploading the documentation onto the Google Drive. And while I'm doing that, this is when, again, the business itself is used as the guise for demonic pacing. This is all criminal activity. The business itself is used as a guise for demonic pacing, both the drive-through and entrance and presence on the property, as well as the employees themselves who are demons, pacing, stalking with noise, stalking with engineered light. Their shadows are appearing at a distance away from them on the walls inside of the venue. Engineered light, walls of light, literally, floating in the air, moving throughout the restaurant while demons are pacing back and forth. And the guise is they're waiting for their drinks and their what it is that they've offered. And this is where Starbucks is engaging in what is gang stalking me. Starbucks is a kidnapper. So Starbucks committed a kidnapping. This is what you need to understand. That's why Starbucks is engaged in this pattern of conduct. And that's also why Starbucks is interested and engaging in what is harassment and psychological torture, as I publish details and document details pertaining to that May 29, 2025 kidnapping. Tracy Banks was wasn't speaking as an ignoramus who is an individual. She was speaking as an ignoramus that is an entity gang stalking. And that's why the specific environment that is present at Starbucks, which is not the natural environment and never occurring under any circumstances but for federal group stalking and monitoring, which is domestic terrorism. That's why it's present at the Starbucks and also present at Woodside, where kidnapping is underway by this entity that is presently the facilitating environment. Okay, so it is currently 3:34 p.m. The entity is engaging in this. This is based on fear. This is what I was documenting. This is what I captured on video. The tornadoes of light. The demons are fearful. Their fear is what reacts with psychopathic behavior. That is getting to the mental illness that I am alarming I don't want to alarm you, but I'm alerting you, informing you about. The mentally ill who are demon possessed are severely sick individuals who are collectively engaged in this criminal conduct, targeting American citizens. And when they have lost in that satanic bet with Satan himself, the demons that they have engaged in agreements with, the demons that they summon when they are targeting. These are all demonic spirits. There is great fear, and that is shown through the impulsive light activity. It's shown through the psychopathic pacing. It's shown through the amplified audible activity. It's shown through the very imprudent and idiot. With regard to a case, there is typically in a case, you are not going to do things that are going to harm your interest in court. The entity is being told beforehand, because they're monitoring me and the evidence. I'm the federal prosecutor that they're gang stalking. So they've been told beforehand, you're going to be subject to a prosecution. It's not that they don't believe that. It's that they are desperately and engaged in severe delusion regarding that. And the entity that is stalking with impossible light is hoping where there is no hope. There's not going to be any sacrifice of Erica Lorraine Spencer. The demon possessed have sacrificed themselves. And that is also what inspires the psychopathic conduct. Their mental illness is exhibited via the impossible light. Their mental illness is exhibited via the fake sun that's over the venue, and what's supposed to be the disguise of pacing behavior, pacing as an entity, literally the timing where they go pick up their drink, the timing when the demons call them for their drink, the timing when they enter the venue, the timing when they move their vehicles in the drive-through, the timing when they're moving in line, the timing when they're going toward and away from the bathroom, the timing that they're driving in and out of the parking lot, the timing that they're flying over, the timing that they are in the street on San Antonio, the traffic lights turning on and on. All of this is about me. And those are the mentally ill psychopaths. Demon possession makes psychopaths who engage in what is gang stalking. That's demonic activity. These demons are very fearful about everything that I've stated, and yet that's understanding the threat. Psychopaths engage in more aggression. Psychopaths engage in more sexual violence. Psychopaths engage in more stalking. Psychopaths engage in more criminal activity. With regard to their being exposed as such. And it needs to be known that Starbucks is engaging in what is a kidnapping that I am documenting and editing the details of. And that is also why Starbucks is engaged in this previously documented a spectacular show of what is impossible light, which is the admission to monitoring. You could not get any more clear or concrete evidence that you're monitoring than having the engineered light all over the ceilings and the walls and a fake sun sitting over the venue for 8 hours while people are pacing inside of the venue. And that is, again, the unlawful act of what is upon domestic terrorism, profiting from it, which is unfortunately the state of affairs in the United States of America. But nonetheless, the demons that are on San Antonio are stalking in the path with impossible light, just like the demons on Euclid Avenue, crossing path, and impossible light is occurring inside of the Starbucks on Euclid Avenue. That is all speaking to what is stalking, speaking to specific knowledge of where I'm at. There's no anonymity, in other words, at all with regard to gang stalking. They're not strangers at all with regard to gang stalking. And as the entity shows that it's obsessed with me, as the entity proves that it is stalking, as the entity is demonstrating that it is indeed mentally sick to a level that is a threat to the public and themselves, that is how they are going to be prosecuted with regard to both diagnoses and prosecution for criminal conduct. All right. The entity is engaging in this while, again, the Ontario Police Department, B. Hook is going to federal prison. Tracy Banks is also subject to confinement. The demon Nathan Morgan is going to federal prison. The demon C. Torres is going to federal prison. The demons, including Datla of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, he's going to federal prison. This is the entity that's engaging in what is targeting me as an entity while I am publishing their criminal acts against me, and Starbucks is engaging in that on behalf of all the entity because Datla doesn't want to be exposed on my website, because Datla doesn't want me referencing him on the podcast, so I am being terrorized with a possible, like Datla's going to federal prison. He committed a kidnapping, and it is an entity that is engaging in this conduct. Do not forget that. Those people are going to federal prison, and while I'm editing that, that's exactly what is inspiring. Aside from gang stalking me altogether, and the demon possessed are obsessed with those that are not of that same condition, those that follow Christ seriously and who are filled with the Holy Spirit, that's who the demon possessed. Those who are filled with the spirit of Satan, that's who they're obsessed with. And they engage in things such as gang stalking. It is currently 3:39 p.m. Do not forget about those who, many of whose name I reference right now, and who will be published on the website with regard to this kidnapping committed in 2025 by the Ontario Police, who are also documented very heavily as of late since release from that kidnapping for gang stalking, which Starbucks is engaging in right now because they're going to federal prison for it. It is 3:40 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it's 3:57 p.m. I want to document being accosted, being molested, touching all over my breasts, my face, touching all over my person while I'm sitting at the table in the center of it's a center rectangular table. You could see me walking through it on video this morning when I'm capturing the fake sun that's still over the venue at 3:57 p.m. The people of the state are pacing on San Antonio and in the drive-thru and in and out of the venue and working behind the bar preparing drinks while they are sexually molesting me. That's a sex offense, touching my person with your genitalia, with your hand, with an object connected to you, and with impossible light to keep me under surveillance is a sex offense that Starbucks is committing. And Starbucks is intentionally committing that while engaging in federal stalking and monitoring with impunity and malice, and doing so while I am engaged in what is documentation with the intent to obstruct justice. So this is, again, a corporate actor that's going to be prosecuted for that sexual violence, which is also psychological torture, because the question is always, where is this light coming from? How is that happening? This is how the demons are terrorizing, and Starbucks is going to be prosecuted while it is entertaining, meaning providing itself as a venue for domestic terrorism and psychological torture, gang stalking. And the employees on the clock, an overweight Caucasian female, tall, skinny Caucasian male with a curly top. He's over 6 feet tall. The four heavy set Latinas, they're gone. The entity is on surveillance cameras, and Starbucks has a practice of moving demons in and out, especially as I document them. The entity is going to be prosecuted for sexual violence and terrorism. This is what the entity is doing inside of the apartment at Tracy Banks. This is what the entity is doing when you're being monitored, and the entity does the same thing as I've documented in Starbucks as well, being molested and surrounded with light that's appearing out of nowhere, impossible to naturally occur because they want to monitor my vagina in the bathroom. All right, so they're now touching all over my person with a possible light, and this is what the demon possessed who are very much fearful. The demon possessed who are psychopaths engage in sexual violence when they're fearful. They engage in terrorism. They engage in killing people and kidnapping them. They engage in criminally defaming them. This is what they resort to when they are gang stalking. This is why this entity committed a kidnapping, and the prosecution of the state is going to include what is recovery and imprisonment for sexual violence by a government, for kidnapping by a government, for defamation by a government, for stalking by a government. All right, and this is all satanic. It's at 706 West Holt Boulevard. So the brand itself is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender while they are terrorizing me with knowledge and intent and with impunity. It's 4 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, just as you are witnessing, there is nothing that's going to create amplified booming from one restroom into the one that I'm in. This is pacing in and out of the same demons that are in engineered light. These are the sex offenders gang stalking under the fake sun. Obsessed with my vagina indeed, in engineered light, and engage in the pacing. Everybody has an impulse to go to the bathroom under the fake sun. they're doing this while my panties are down, monitoring my vagina under the fake sun that's here as of a matter of record since before 9:45 a.m. I got the video at 9:42 a.m. This is indeed a sex offender who you saw. They were stalking in the path while I'm seated at the table. They're stalking in the path while I am in the bathroom, and the demons are pacing in and out. And while they're pacing in and out, amplification of audible noise is sounding in the bathroom. This is the same building where my shadow was appearing on that wall, where demons are outside also aware that my vagina is exposed, and demons are maintaining the role on the inside while they're maintaining their role on the outside, as the government is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. All right, gang stalking is an exceedingly violent sex offense, and you are looking at the predators who have access to children. They hold the hands of children. They include children in sexual violence. They routinely practice sexual violence. It is gang stalking that California is practicing as a government program. In Starbucks, it's monitoring my vagina, and I'm also going to prosecute them for that. Commercial actors shall be prosecuted as sex offenders. They're going to be prosecuted as domestic terrorists. They're going to be prosecuted as gang stalkers, engaging in psychological torture. This is, again, bathroom monitoring at 5:46 p.m. The entity is gang stalking me on May 16, 2025. The Ontario Police is targeting me by flying over the apartment building where Tracy Banks resides, where inside impossible light activity is present, and outside the Ontario Police Department are flying over the same apartment building. And I know that because the building is sounding as though it's rumbling, which is sensational activity, while those demons of that police department are gang stalking me with Tracy Banks, who summoned them criminally on May 29, 2025. And these demons engaged in a kidnapping as an entity, where they are now engaging in sexual violence as an entity. The sun is not over Woodside Senior Apartments, and this is not the sun that's remaining for the duration of the day at 706 West Holt Boulevard. This is the sex offense. The sex offenders engage in kidnapping, especially when they know that their sexual violence, that their gang stalking is being exposed, because they are indeed engaged in criminal surveillance. These are sex offenders engaging in rampant sexual violence as a secret system of surveillance in California. The entity is engaging in this while all manner of people are aware at the same time that my vagina is exposed, which is informing and motivating a bunch of demons who are violent sex offenders pacing in and out of the adjacent bathroom, where you're not going to hear any toilet flushing. It's not going to cause rumbling in the walls. There's no anything perceived when this overweight Latino male is in use of the toilet. That's the demons that are interested in monitoring me when my panties are down, which is the pattern of conduct by the sex offenders who are gang stalking. And it includes those that are both working at the venue as well. All right, I just want to be clear, 7 UGX 088, crossing path. The entity's been engaged in terrorism, engaging in sexual violence together. They're in the drive-thru monitoring my vagina. They're engaged in what is ongoing terrorism and exhibiting severe mental illness, coming to the grounds of Starbucks to share in terrorism, while impossible light is cycled inside, literally floating through the air, and sex offenders sit around like it's not happening while they're openly engaging in domestic terrorism, and then they pace around like psychopaths while my panties are down and the demons get in a frenzy. This is the fake sun that's present, and that's a sex engaging in surveillance in the parking lot. Okay, that's P.O.C. This is the P.O.C. of sexual violence. Starbucks is going to be prosecuted accordingly, and this is also not over 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's not over 507 North Euclid Avenue. It's also not over Woodside Senior Apartments, and it could never create what is this light activity, multiple contradicting directions of a chair, the shadow of it. That's impossible light activity. You're looking at all the evidence of gang stalking. This is the pathetic demise, publicly exposed, of what is the state of California that's filled with demons who are engaged in gang stalking. And those particular demons who are going to prison for committing a kidnapping as an entity include Tracy Banks, include those that I will document by name, of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, because they're gang stalking. That's a malicious engagement, not ignorantly keeping someone that they're not sure is mentally ill. They know exactly who I am. That's why they were gang stalking at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. They're going to federal prison, and so is B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, and L. Martinez, amongst many of the Ontario Police Department who are going to federal prison. All right, the entity is engaged in what is terrorism and harassment in here, because I'm documenting the entity as the kidnapping that they committed together, evident through what is light that manifests in this way on the walls with two shadows. You're stalking in the path, and you're a psychopath engaging in a statewide system. And that's why corrupt businesses like Starbucks are going to be prosecuted and put on the map for a whole other basis, besides the fact that they hired demons. This is P.O.C. All right, the sex offender is pacing in, coming in, engaging in surveillance, which is how the government engages in gang stalking with the Ontario Police Vehicle 1028. They're going to federal prison. They're gambling with the wrong person. Ontario Police is crossing paths, stalking me with these demons with license plate 7VZS 561. After they're engaging in pacing because the Ontario Police are obsessed with my vagina, and that's why they have demons pacing outside of the bathroom while it's exposed at the Starbucks, the facilitating venue. Okay, the entity is maintaining this specific environment license 9SCG 969. This is a woman monitoring my vagina. All right, homosexual conduct that I do not welcome or entertain. I call it out because she's a gang stalking demon. All right, the entity is doing so while I am remaining at the facilitating venue where the fake son remained. Again, license 7VZS 561. Don't forget that. All right, and license plate. I want to make sure I get 9EVY 353. These are the sex offenders in position. Gang stalking. You'll see them in images. You'll see them engaging in loitering in the path. It's criminal. Starbucks employees don't have a right under the law to be there. The venue itself, the Starbucks, the corporate office has no right to maintain the establishment as a facilitating venue. The demons don't have any right to be here as patrons. This is the government's criminal engagement in surveillance, in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and I will prosecute everybody that was inside of this venue today. The entity is acting with the police who cross paths at the same time, and that's a threat that those sex offenders just posed right now. That's why I'm documenting on the record. Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:53 p.m. All right, this is the Ontario Police Department gang stalking. There they are right there. This is crossing path. They're an engineer light. It's me specifically. There are third parties that surround. This is the Ontario Police, and this is what they're monitoring. This is what they're hostile to. The kidnapping that they engaged in while I'm editing it online. They are being disbanded. The entity engaged in what is sounding sirens. That's audible activity. After they cross path, they're surrounding in the perimeter in their emergency vehicles that they're all going to be snatched out of, because they're communicating a threat while the demon-possessed entity that is the City of Ontario is engaging in domestic terrorism, and I'm exposing it on the internet. I'm creating the page in order for their kidnapping that they committed, and it is a kidnapping. That's why they're still gang stalking now. That's called criminal summoning and engineer light. All right, the people of the state are engaging in the elements of monitoring with them. But the entity is crossing path by helicopter in the specific environment. This is the very heavily documented OVITT Family Community Library. You already know that the OVITT Family Community Library is a facilitating venue day and night. That's the Ontario Fire Department gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. Michael GERKEN and Mike LORENZ, demon-possessed co-conspirators, engaged in the pattern of conduct in the City of Ontario. It's currently 8:52 p.m. The entity continues to weigh against itself with regard to the body of evidence that's going to have each of them removed, and it's going to have the disbanding, the inevitable disbanding of the Ontario Police. The entity is engaging what is communicating a threat while they're monitoring. The sound of sirens is audible activity. While they're flying in helicopters, it's crossing path. They're gang stalking under the fake moon behind this third party right here. That's P.O.C. All right, remember the entity is in the specific environment. When they're gang stalking by helicopter at the professional building, the fake moon is right over me. When they're gang stalking me and I'm walking from the library, the entity is maintaining this light source during the night and during the day. This is P.O.C. It is currently, again, 8:53 p.m. where the entity is sounding sirens, sounding helicopter activity, and this is with regard to knowledge in real time about what I am publishing on the internet, and it is about the kidnapping that Tracy Banks and the City of Ontario, the entity, including Starbucks, that's gang stalking. You're gang stalking as an entity. They engage in kidnapping as an entity, and that entity is very much engaged in what is ongoing gang stalking while their kidnapping is being published on the venue of the internet, and this is relevant to the prosecution and the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. It's 8:53 p.m. B. Hook, L. Martinez, C. Torres, Nathan Morgan are going to federal prison. As sure as the Ontario Police Department is still gang stalking on Sunday, June 8, 2025. This is P.O.C.
I'm staying around real close.
That's Ontario Police pacing. While the people of the state surround me.
Yeah.
Ontario Police is pacing again. This is P.O.C.
Yeah, so I came over here, right here.
This is the Ontario Police that are scared of what is being published on the video of the internet. That's crossing path.
Yeah.
There's a fake loan.
I'm real.
This is demonic pacing.
A lot of stuff,
This is very much what they're scared of. That's why they're going to federal prison. This is why they're being disbanded because of gang stalking. This is terrorism, psychological torture. This is audacity. by the government in the face of being exposed for it. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is exactly why. They were supposed to accomplish killing me, if not kidnapping me and having me in an asylum somewhere
That's what they
by
do.
criminal defamation. And since they have not accomplished that, now they're engaging in what is providing evidence against the people of the state and itself by repeatedly stalking a helicopter, following me around everywhere in helicopter, while I am at the same time publishing evidence about them. That's not a coincidence. This is P.O.C. It's 8:56 p.m. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. P.O.C. The Ontario Police Department is continuously pacing over me, demonstrating severe mental illness that they can no longer hide from the world and from, most specifically, the federal court that's going to be diagnosing and prosecuting them. These psychopaths that are gang stalking while going under the name of, to be confused with a law enforcement agency. These are stalkers and sex offenders and raging psychopaths. And that's why they're repeatedly flying in circles now where I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. Amplification by the co-defendants, the people of the state, the parade of demons who are pacing. And this is supposed to be a response by the demon-possessed who are being exposed and prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. And they tried to commit a kidnapping. They engaged in kidnapping, and the demons are going to prison for it. This is the very foolish exposure of oneself when they engage in criminal conduct, and they are fearful of it being posted on the internet. The kidnapping by entity via criminal defamation, that the entity engaged in on May 29th. That's literally what I'm working on, and this is where the Ontario Police begins pacing, and the demon-possessed are engaged in amplified audible activity while they are pacing. Remember what happens when they pace? Engineer light flies inside of the restaurant where I'm sitting. That's a demon that's gang stalking with the police department, okay? It's the same here. This is P.O.C. At the entity, there's the setting where you're recognizing the environment where the entity is engaged in gang stalking. And here is also as well. My one hand has multiple shadows. The Ontario Police Department is gang stalking me. The little corner that I'm sitting in at the library is where they're focusing their helicopter activity while they're keeping my internet activity under surveillance as I'm exposing them for the kidnapping that they committed. This is exactly why B. Hook, Nathan Morgan, L. Martinez, and C. Torres are going to federal prison. This is exactly why. This is not helping their cause. These are the psychopaths that are going to be permanently removed from law enforcement. It's 9:02 p.m. This is P.O.C.